Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Thanks for tuning into our podcast. We love having you here, and it's our mission to bring you all the latest and greatest tips, skills, and know-how to make you the best that you can be. We know that you have it in you, and we're going to show you how. Now, let's get started.
This episode is powered by Poddex.
Thank you for tuning in today. You are now listening to That Will Never Work podcast with your host, Maurice Chisholm. Good day, everybody. I hope you are having a wonderful day today. It is time for another episode of That Will Never Work podcast. Listen, I've listened to plenty of motivational speeches. And growing up in church, of course, hearing a sermon is a motivational speech, right? And going to any job fair or college fair or college graduation, high school graduation, everything that you listen to is a motivational speech. And so that's what happens on That Will Never Work. All I'm trying to do is impart some other facets of motivational speaking, to help get everyone motivated, giving us sometimes a little more tips than in a motivational speech, because sometimes those could be so general that it does not give you a true insight on how to move things forward. And I think what happens is that when other individuals do that, they're not giving you all the tools or ways to equip you to move forward. They're not giving you the opportunity to get there. And a lot of times it's lost, sometimes in translation, sometimes it is not embraced the way we would like to take it. And that comes from two different places. I said a general statement, but it's from two different places. One, if I am the one that's offering you an opportunity and you're not taking it, I could take it negatively if you don't move forward. On the other hand, if I'm the one receiving it, and depending on how the other person is giving it, sometimes we don't know how to take it forward, and we use opportunities not to realize our situation. And I'm coming from this place, or coming to this topic from this place. I listened to a quote by the late, great basketball player Kobe Bryant. And with us being relatively the same age, we were in high school around the same time in the Philadelphia area, so I was able to see him in basketball games, things like that. And so what happened is that I listened to him, and he made this statement, and it really has been sticking to me, which is where I'm coming from today. He stated that if I have to beg you to get into the gym, and then after he said that, I didn't hear anything else he had to say, because that stuck out to me. If I have to beg you to get to where you want to get to, if I have to drag you, if I have to say it more than once, and as a parent, you get tired of saying to your kids, You know what? Pick up your room, clean up your room, wash the dishes, sweep the floor, you know, and you got to say it more than once. You know, it can be frustrating. And so sometimes, you know, I think that some of us that have to beg someone to move things forward, it could be a problem. And we don't want to stay on top of that individual, continue to motivate that individual. And I think this is where the church mentality and the business mentality, where they collide and butt up against each other. Because in church, you're constantly trying to motivate someone. You're doing it with a smile, quote unquote. And in a business perspective, you're trying to motivate someone, but you want to just tell them once and move on. And I think that when we are looking at this in totality, I think that there has to be a moment of grace with both options. Sometimes we do need to maybe not give them so much rope and leeway from a church perspective, because sometimes we give people too much rope and they just never move, or they wait till the last minute, they procrastinate, so forth and so on. But then you have other individuals when they're at work, and as soon as the manager says something, bam, they up and running, right? And because they have that in their mind, that idea that they're going to lose something if they don't move at that time. So if they're going to lose their job, their paycheck, their livelihood, putting food on the table, clothes on the back, roof over the head, stuff. So what happens is that from a church perspective, which is more or less a volunteer entity, we don't move as fast. From a business perspective, we look at, from I work 9 to 5 perspective, let's go and do this. And so what happened is, when you become an entrepreneur, a lot of people put entrepreneurship in the middle. And what happens is that if you're trying to be an entrepreneur and someone has to beg you to move forward, someone has to beg you to make things happen, I think sometimes that we need to understand that we're not an entrepreneur. We might be a hobbyist. We might have to understand that being an entrepreneur is not really where we want to be. And so those lines get crossed a lot of times. And if we're not motivated enough to move things forward, to push the envelope, to push the pendulum, whatever it is, if we're not in that space, this thing called being an entrepreneur is not easy. Now, that's from an entrepreneur perspective, because I have to motivate myself any and every day to move forward. I have to get up in the morning and say, I need to be a lion today. I need to just get up and get it done. I can't be a gazelle. I can't be a deer in headlights. I need to get up and get this thing moving and popping today. And I think we don't look at it from a volunteer perspective of having that same attitude, because I think we lose when we would look at church and church growth. I work with an organization with church growth and things like that. The attitude is not the same. And I have to even speak for myself. Sometimes the attitude is not the same of, let's get up and get this, because the people that you're following behind may not have that mentality, and you don't want to push but so much. You don't want to outshine somebody. You don't want to come off as if you know everything, and it may not be that you know everything. It may be just a situation of, hey, I just have a little bit more information than that individual does. So I think that in the 9 to 5 realm, we push to look busy, but not get anything accomplished. There are a few superstars that can get it done. There are a few superstars that hustle and grind every day. And sometimes your position in your job does not allow you to become that superstar. You can't push the envelope but so much. So I'll give you an example. I used to be in customer service, and I was in the customer service for a lot of years. There's so much, you can do. There's so much you can say. You can't go above and beyond, but so much because of company policy, because of what the benefits these people are referring to or talking about. There are limitations. Everything costs money, things like that. So I was in member services at a Philadelphia area health insurance, Medicaid health plan. And in that space, I was in member services. And so members will call in into the helpline, and we will explain to them their benefits, what they can and can't do, things like that. And there are moments where you really want to help someone because they really sound like they're in stress, especially when it comes to their children. And we get discouraged because we can't become that lion in that perspective. So we have to be a gazelle. We have to kind of tiptoe or whatever it is through the tulips, if you will, to get this job done. And that can be frustrating. That really can be frustrating. So you become complacent, you become lazy, you become unmotivated. You no longer push yourself educationally. Whatever it is, you find yourself in a position where you're not going after it. So unfortunately, someone may have to beg you to say, get it done, to do something else. Let's be in a better space, because I remember our managers and whatnot having to really encourage the team a lot of times because we're not always motivated to move forward. But when you want to motivate us, unfortunately for someone like myself, I wanted more out of life. So the motivation that they were giving me was not necessarily for me to do that job, but for me to do something else, for me to move forward, for me to move my career forward. And some of us are not in that space. We think we are, but a lot of times we're not. Or we just need to change the scenery. And I think that's the key also. Changing your scenery will open up your eyes. Change the scenery does not always mean place. It could just be a change of mindset. Are you waking up with being focused? Are you waking up with a certain idea in your mind and you're trying to go after that? Are you changing your friends? That could be the scenery. Because if your friends are not encouraging, if they are not perpetuating a positive idea, are you falling victim to that environment? Now, other scenery could be just taking a vacation every now and then, going to a different mall, maybe even moving your place of habitation, if you will, so it depends on what you're looking at as far as changing the scenery and being able to move forward. So today is not about begging you to get to the gym, as Kobe Bryant said, because that can be frustrating and that could be discouraging. And then I can make up in my mind that you don't want it. It's not important to you. You have no desire for this. Or is it just that you need something else to push you forward? So today, let's not beg to get you to the gym. Just get it done.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.
Attention car shoppers. Right now at South Carolina Federal Credit Union, you can get a new or used auto loan and pay nothing until 2024, and no payments for 90 days means nothing out of pocket going into the new year. Plus, we have flexible rates and terms, so you could make the best financial choice for you. Learn more at scfederal.org/auto loans. That's scfederal.org/auto loans. Certain restrictions apply. Existing South Carolina federal credit loans are excluded.